Hey guys, welcome back. Mike here with EBR. Now, Aventon's been a well-known name in the e-bike world for years now, and this is their Pace 500.3. It's their modern take on an electric cruiser. It's got a nice low step-through frame, and they promise up to 60 miles of range on a single charge. But what about the rest of the specs, and more importantly, how does it feel and ride out in the real world? Well, stick around and let's take a closer look at the Aventon Pace 500.3. Now, the Aventon Pace ships as a Class 2 bike, meaning it would be capped at 20 miles an hour, but you can easily unlock this to Class 3 in the display, which I'll show you guys in just a bit. Now, the MSRP on this currently, as of today, is $1,799, and that price right now includes a free included extra battery, so effectively doubling the range from 60 to 120 miles. Now, on a good note here, the bike is UL 2849 certified, and its max payload capacity is 300 pounds. As far as the weight of the bike, currently as it sits, it's 54.1 pounds, but there is the removable battery, and that battery itself weighs about 7.5 pounds. When it comes to this frame, it only comes in this step-through option, and it comes in 3 colors. You have gray, white, and blue like we have here, and then it comes in 2 sizes. So you have a regular frame size that fits riders from 4'11 up to 5'7", and then you have the large like we have here, and this fits riders from 5'7 up to 6'1", so anywhere in that 4'11 to 6'1 range. Now, I am 5'11, kind of on the upper end of the large size frame, and I feel like I have a couple of inches more to go in either direction, and it fits me just fine. So when it comes to geometry numbers on this bike, we have a nice low step over height of 17.5 inches. That just makes it getting on and getting off much easier without worrying about your stability or your balance. You don't need to tilt the bike or throw your leg over. It's just a nice easy on, easy off type of frame. Now, some numbers on here, we have wheelbase of around 43 inches, a reach of 14.5 inches, and then the seat post height can be adjusted from around 34 to 39 inches. Now, when it comes to tires and wheels, they went with a 27.5 inch wheel, and that's going to be in a black alloy finish with black steel spokes on here. Now, the tires on this are 2.2, so 27.5 by 2.2, and these have a reflective sidewall with a nice mild tread pattern, pretty consistent with a city commuter cruiser type bike. You got a little bit of traction all the way around, but nothing overly aggressive, as this is a rigid frame and not really designed to go off-roading. Now, the manual says they recommend 30 to 50 PSI on these tires. We're kind of right in the middle, around 40, and that seems to be a good sweet spot for any kind of daily errands, commuting, riding around town. Just feels really good and eats up some of the vibrations off the road, which is always nice. Now, when it comes to fenders and racks, we have mounting points too. We can mount a rear rack or a front rack, or front and rear fenders. You have mounting bosses for both of those, as well as mounting points along the front fork there. Now, none of these come with the bike as far as fenders or racks, but they do offer those as optional accessories when you make your purchase. And when it comes to lighting, they included a nice 120 lux headlight that I think is very bright enough for most daily running around. At a minimum, it just helps you be seen when you're out on the road. And then integrated into the frame here, which is a very clean look, they have tail lights and, even better, turn signals. I always love seeing turn signals on a bike. More and more people are riding these on the side of the road, downtown and city streets, and just being able to kind of let other drivers know where you plan to go without needing to worry about hand signals. Turn signals are always a nice feature, and integrated like this into the frame gives a nice sleek look and easy to use with the display pad up top. Now, starting here in the back, we have a rear hub motor. Now, it's rated at 500 watts. And it's activated through a torque sensor. Now, a torque sensor will measure how fast and, more importantly, how hard you're pedaling to try to match your effort in pedal assist for the most natural possible assistance feeling. Now, powering this motor, we have a 48-volt battery that has 12.8 amp hours and giving us 614 watt hours of power to work with. Now, it also comes with a set of keys, and that will let you unlock it or remove it, and I'll show you how that works now. So here is the key it comes with. You'll simply just put this in, it'll pop it out. That will allow you just to pull it out of the retention system. Now, this battery weighs about 7.5 pounds. It is UL 2849 certified, and it has a 2-year warranty along with the whole bike. To put it back, you'll simply put the bottom end in first. You'll get a satisfying click, and your battery is back in. Now, this bike has 4 riding modes. You have Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo, and the brand estimates you can get up to 60 miles of range on a single charge. Now, we did 2 range tests. We ran it on Turbo, the fastest, and that gave us 35 miles, and then we ran it on Eco, the most relaxed, and that gave us 68 miles, surpassing the brand's estimation of 60 miles, which is always a good thing. Anytime a bike goes further, in my book, that's better than not making it to the cutoff, so kudos there. Now, when it comes to components and hardware for the drivetrain, they went with a Shimano Altus 8-speed setup. Now, making up the range there, in the back you have a 12 to 32 cassette, and then you have a 48-tooth chainring up front with 170 millimeter alloy crank arms and a nice set of flat black and with some studs alloy pedals here. Now, that range of a 48 tooth with a 12 to 32 rear cassette, it's a really nice everyday cruising range, and it gives you the right amount of pedaling gears to get through most situations, albeit outside of maybe like a steep hill or something super steep. This will do its job just fine. And then at the end of the day, it's still an e-bike, so you have juice on tap if it's just not enough. Now, when it comes to brakes on this, they went with a nice reputable brand like Tektro, and you have hydraulic disc brakes. In front and rear, you have 180 millimeter rotors with a thickness of 1.8 millimeters, and those are mated to 2 piston calipers along with Tektro brake levers up top. Now, when it comes to the seat on this bike, it is an Aventon branded seat, but it's a nice wide cushion seat with spring supports on the bottom, and then an alloy seat post with a diameter of 30.9 millimeters. Now, moving up front here, you'll notice this bike has no suspension, and that includes a rigid front fork. Here in the cockpit, you do have Aventon branded lock-on grips, both left and right, and they are a black rubber ergonomic grip. And if you notice, the handlebar here is kind of a Dutch style cruiser, which gives you a nice upright seating position and no stress on your lower back. And it's just kind of a nice, casual, relaxed way to ride, which fits the theme of this kind of city cruiser commuter really well. Now, over here on the left, we have the push throttle, and we have the PAS control buttons for the display. We have Tektro brake levers on each side, and on the center, we have a 90-degree adjustable stem, so you can kind of move this as high or low as 90 degrees of range, and that'll let you dial in a fit that works best for you along with the seat height. And the headlight is rated at 120 lux, and the display in the center is a nice color Aventon display. And then finishing it off on the right, you have your Shimano Altus trigger shifters with a nice 8-speed window to let you know which gear you're in kind of at any time you glance down. And so now, speaking of that display, let's go ahead and take a look at the display, and then we'll jump into the app itself. All right, so right here on the screen, this is gonna be your home screen, everything you're gonna have when you just power on the bike. So here you have your battery bar and a 5-bar meter, or you have the numerical percentage, you can reference both. In the middle, you have your current speed. You're going to have your PAS level here, so as you can see, Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo. Over here, you have your odometer, and here the total time spent on the bike. Now, if you want to change some settings or get into the deeper settings, you can hold the plus and minus, and that will activate the advanced settings. Here you can change the trip data, you can adjust the screen brightness, you can change the unit to either kilometers or miles per hour. Here you can see system info, things like the name, the software version numbers, and your power setup. Now, going back, you can hit the power button, and that will take you to the final one, which is connect to app. And so now I'll grab my phone and show you what the app looks like. All right, so this is the home screen of the app. And I will say Aventon has one of the better apps for their bikes out there. So just on this home screen, you've got an image of the bike. That's the old high step version. You have the riding time on the bike, the odometer. You can turn the headlight on and off. You can go to some advanced settings, which I'll show you in a second. And you see your battery percentage, your riding modes. You can turn those on or off in here as well. So if you put this on a phone mount while you're riding, you could actually use it as the display. And then you can go into more settings here. So you've got your bike's name, screen brightness, how long it takes to power off. And then here's where you can adjust the class 2 to class 3. We've currently got it in class 3 mode. Change between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. And then again, you can also do your assist level here. Now, if you go back, you can go into some of your recorded rides if you've been following those. The Discover tab will show you where other people are riding and their routes with some comments that they've made about them. And there's rides even posted just today from people. And then here you can go into your just profile settings for your basics. But all in all, a super good intuitive app, clean display, and it allows you to not only change settings, but go from class 2 to class 3, and it's just nice and easy to use. So well done on the app for the Pace 500.3. All right, so we've done enough chatting about this bike. I'm gonna go grab my helmet and we're gonna take it out on the road here and kind of just talk about how the power feels, how it rides, and just some overall thoughts about the initial ride quality on the Aventon Pace 500.3. All right, so out here on the Aventon Pace 500.3 step through. So when you ride this, it's apparently and clearly built just for casual, comfortable cruising, commuting, city riding. It just has that vibe, from the smooth tires to the Dutch style handlebars, the upright riding position. You're just kind of in a good cruising, get around town, relaxed position, and I definitely dig it. It's nice, especially on these paved city paths. Plus you have the perks of things like turn signals and headlights and tail lights. So should you want to jump into traffic and change lanes or just let other drivers know where you're going, you can easily do that on this bike. It's just really easy to get around on. So starting off with the Dutch style cruiser bar, like I said, it gives you that nice upright position. The grips on here are Aventon branded, but they got a couple cool things going. One is they have the ergonomic shape, which is kind of the pushed out grip. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you can kind of, it gives you a platform to rest your palms on. And they're also lock-on, which I always appreciate having lock-on grips because they don't slip or slide around as you use them over time. Hence the term lock-on. They have retention screws that hold them in place, and I enjoy having those. Just keeps things stable and secure. The saddle on here, although the bike's a rigid frame, so there's no suspension anywhere, the saddle's super supportive and wide and got a lot of good cushion. Plus there's two springs supporting the base of it. So it's a very comfortable saddle, and you can still pedal without your inner thighs or your hamstrings rubbing on the wider saddle. Doesn't always happen that way, and so good choice on the saddle selection. The tires down below are the 27.5 by 2.1 inch. They have a nice smooth city commuter style tread pattern with some water seeping channels and some small traction channels. But overall, they roll silently, smooth, and quick. They just roll kind of effortlessly. This is one of those bikes, if you ran out of juice, you could probably pedal at home, no problem. So the motor is a 500 watt rear hub motor with a torque sensor activation. And I'm currently in tour mode, so you have off, eco, tour, sport, and turbo. So if I go into turbo and I pedal just a little bit, we can make it up that little hill, no problem. The power's good, and with the torque sensor, sometimes you guys will hear me talk about torque sensors under sensing, so you have to kind of pedal harder than normal to get that pedal assist. And sometimes they're too punchy. But I'd say this one is dialed in pretty well. It's doing a good job at trying to match my effort, and that's always what you want out of a good torque sensor. When it comes to power, like I said, I just went up that little hill, no problems. I've been up some big hills here in town just to kind of play with the motor. It does start to slow a bit on steeper inclines, say over 10%, but that's going to be given on any incline over 10%. 10% is a pretty steep hill. So if you're getting, reduced speeds on a 10% incline, I'd say that comes with the territory. It's not a fault of the bike. But for around town, just the little inclines and declines and rolling hills you'll see in a city, it does really well there. Hey there, good morning. The brakes on here are Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. And Tektro is a reputable brand. They've been around a long time. They make a lot of brakes we see all the time. I'm going to do a quick brake test. Let's get this up to about 20 and then hit the brakes. 3, 2, 1. That was really fast. Really good controlled stop. And let's see what kind of throttle we get here. So the throttle does stop at 20, but let's see how it performs up to 20. So 3, 2, 1. We're in turbo mode. 10 miles an hour. 15 and 20. And then you've got pedal assist all the way up to 28 if you get going on the pedals. you can get 28 pretty quickly there. So yeah, from just relaxed rides around town to commuting, between the headlights, the taillights, and the turn signals, 28-mile-an-hour capability, and the really comfortable riding position. This is a really solid bike. Kind of do whatever you want within reason as far as smooth paved surfaces. This bike will do it and do it comfortably. And you've got this adjustable stem here, so you can kind of dial in the fit for you. All in all, it's just a comfortable, smooth rolling, easy to get around on bike. And with the step-through frame, easy to get on, easy to get off, with all the power you would need for riding around town. So all in all, the Aventon Pace 500.3, it's just a solid go-to bike that I don't think you can go wrong with. But let's run it by Ben and get his mechanic's thoughts on it, and then I'll wrap this up. All right, guys, we are back again with Ben, our in-house mechanic, and he's going to talk to us about the Aventon Pace 500.3. Ben, before you jump into it, thank you again to Feedback Sports for supplying us with their HD Pro aluminum rack. Super durable, and it holds these bikes up well. There's also a full lineup of tools, so if you'd like to kind of convert your garage into a wrench trench, I'll leave a link down in the description, and you guys can check out Feedback Sports. So Ben, just kick things off with what you like about the bike, and I'll step out and kind of let you do your thing.
All right, thanks, Mike. This is an easy bike to like. There's a couple of things. I'll go back to front on this one. I really like the brake lights. When you hit the brakes and the power's on, you're cruising down the pathway, they'll just illuminate when you're hitting the brakes. Now, is that going to be something that's an advantage in traffic? Probably not. But if you live in a place like here in St. George, you're going to have other riders on the pathway behind you. It just makes it easier for people to see you and know what you're doing. I really like that. The frame is really solid. I really like these types of bikes when you have a rigid fork instead of a suspension fork. It seems like in a bike like this, a nice rigid fork, threadless steer tube and stem, it just feels nice. Really solid, clean lines, easy to look at, just great to ride all around. The bottom bracket bearings on this bike are external of the frame. They're outside of the frame. It's common to see the bearings for the bottom bracket to be inside the frame. Why does that matter? It just makes it a stronger bottom bracket interface. Bigger riders, more aggressive riders, maybe some heavier weight. It's longer lasting. They're more common to find in the industry, easier to replace, that sort of thing. So you gotta like that. I also like that this bike comes with aluminum pedals, all right? So what you're gonna get out of that is more durability and longevity. When I say durability, if you drop the bike, sometimes plastic fenders, or plastic pedals rather, will break or crack, and that just means you need to replace them sooner. Aluminum, much more durable, a little bit better, stronger standing platform. Gotta like that. Two more things. I really like that it's got a two-piece chainring, so you get an aluminum inner body, easily replaceable outer chainring, just for that reason, easy to replace when and if it's necessary. The last piece I'll touch on is the chain. When you see a silver chain like this, it's common that it's going to be a zinc-coated chain. What that means, it's very resistant to corrosion, so you get more mileage out of it and not having to worry about rust so much.
Nice, man. And what kind of things would you improve with the Pace 500?
That's a great question. I've only got a couple things I can pick on, and I'm really just being picky with this one. But as with other bikes, I'll mention the bottom bracket spindle where the crank's attached. It's an older style square taper, which they're not as easy to find and they're just not as strong. So that's something I think that they can improve upon potentially in the future. And this bike as it is, I really think it's awesome, but I think it begs to have some fenders out of the box. This bike to me looks like the kind of bike somebody's gonna jump on, go to the grocery store. Maybe it's gonna rain on them, maybe it won't, but fenders would just be a nice addition with the bike rather than having to buy them aftermarket.
Awesome, man. Ben, once again, thank you for your time, man.
All right, thank you, Mike.
All right, guys, so let's kind of wrap this up and put a bow on this. So what's the overall thoughts on the Aventon Pace 500.3? Well, for starters, Aventon is a well-known brand within the direct-to-consumer e-bike market. You can't really go anywhere around town without seeing Aventon e-bikes, so they've got a good reputation built already. And then a bike like this really is just gonna be appealing to those who want a nice cruiser, relaxed geometry where you have a nice upright position, you're not straining your back, you've got nice smooth rolling tires, and the speed and power to kind of get up to 28 miles an hour, get you around town, brake lights and turn signals and headlights. It's gonna be city street friendly, but also gonna be something that's not overly aggressive or overpowered, not too relaxed that you're going too slow. It's gonna have all the range and speed you want in a nice, stable, low entry, easy on and easy off package. And so if that's the kind of bike you're looking for or thinking about, the Aventon Pace 503 should be definitely one of the ones you take a look at for consideration. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm Mike with EBR. If you haven't done so already, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. and we'll see you guys in the next review.